welcome to TWVocalize. My name is Briana Valencia.
And I'm Kevin Kanawati.
And today we're going to be talking about public safety. I don't know if anyone has been paying attention to the headlines right now, but what's currently going on with a festival that just happened. There was some casualties, and we want to talk about how going to public events, you kind of risk putting your life out there. So we're just going to dive into that and exactly what happened at the Astroworld Festival and tie that back to public safety.
Yeah. So a brief history of overview on the personal story. Astroworld is a music festival that is put on by Travis Scott in Houston. On November 5th, 2021, it ended with 8 people losing their lives. The crowd consisted of about 50,000 people. The victims range from the age of 14 up to 27 years old. And there's a lack of attention from Travis Scott himself, but also from the filming crew when some crowd members were yelling out "medic" and "stop the show" due to them being trampled and physically harmed.
After there was people dying in the crowd, and apparently the Travis Scott was performing for 37 more minutes before the show was actually stopped. Just some backends because we want to be thorough. There are no occupancy permits for outdoor events. But fire code assembly occupancy would have allowed more than 200,000 people. There was 50,000 people in attendance, and I think it's
that was already damaging.
And that was crazy. There's only 50,000 people, and fire code allows for 200,000 people in outdoor events. So in this festival venue, so I think that kind of says a lot about where this could have went and how more wrong it could have went from where it already went. Wait, I said went like 3 times.
It could have just been a bigger damage.
Yeah, it could have. I got lost in what I was thinking about, guys. Sorry about that. And so we also want to talk about like other events that have happened at venues. So I know we didn't talk about this topic before, but in Las Vegas, 58 people were killed and 489 wounded in a active shooter event, and this was an outdoor event where people were going to a music event as well. So we just kind of want to talk about how it's different. People were kind of trampled upon at the Astroworld one, and there was like a
live shooter.
Yeah, an active shooter. But it kind of ties back to these are music events where people went to go enjoy a show, go have fun, go spend time with family or friends, and just we're gonna reach back to public safety. If you want to dive into that, Kevin. Oh, the next point.
Sorry, I was just like, wait, what? So there's no wow, I can't pronounce words.
It's after the Vegas portion.
Oh, sorry. The definition of public safety. The public safety issues is the manipulation, content, state or federal injustice might grapple, including narcotics, the use of trespassing, burglary, harassment, juvenile delinquency, unauthorized living, noises, littering, inappropriate social behaviors, inebriation, and other qualities of life issues. So there should be a standard of like what is being accepted into either events or any kind of location, and what should be regulated for person's safety, which was not clearly in accounts with like the Travis Scott situation.
So going back to like this Travis Scott situation, it's horrible. 8 people lost their lives, and it's scary thinking that you're going to one of your favorite artists. I don't know, like someone you look up to, your favorite music. You're so excited to go to the festival, to be with your friends, and that was like your last like night of life or day of life, and that's really sad. So it just goes back to, do you think that, I know a lot of people are talking about this again, that he went on with the show for 37 minutes, like, who's at fault here?
In a sense, it could be his production and the people who are just mandating that location, because I think there's even like talks of like there should have been way more security. Like, yeah. I think when people were like entering the doors, they were just like trampling each other. So there should have been a better regulation of like, hey, no, you're not allowed to do that, or like at least stopping people.
Yeah.
Because even if you see the footage, it just looks like there's like 2 or 3 maybe securities are at the door checking tickets, and people just hurling through like cattle. And it was just like ridiculous, and how it was just like, it seemed so unprofessionally handled. Like I do think like he should have stopped the show because they even like made some comparison to how like even Adele and some other people
I've
during
seen
the
those.
concerts,
Yeah.
they'll like stop the show and be like, we're not going to keep going if you guys don't either behave yourselves or like make sure everyone's feeling safe at least. But he just like, which he did kind of try to do, but he just like asked people to wave your hands up if you feel comfortable or is everything's good. And a lot of people were like raising their hands and like trying to say like, no, let's keep going. But there's a lot of other people who were just being silent and just telling them to like screw off because like they rather have the show and care about safety. So like I don't know if it was like fully really Travis's fault, but like it's just he has to be held in account as well.
I think it also goes back to the part where people were so close and sandwiched together that I've read in a lot of places people giving their opinion on like how it was to be in the crowd. That if you put your hand up, it was gonna stay up all night because that's how squished they were. Like you couldn't bring your arm back down, or any
That's
position
insane.
you were. And I've seen so many videos where people are literally like on top of each other, like not like on the ground, but like squished where they're like chest to like back, and it's like crazy. And also, I'm just thinking about like COVID. Like also, that's a public safety issue, where these 50,000 people, whether you believe in vaccines or not, where they're wearing masks, which by CDC guidelines, it's just proven to help reduce the risk of getting COVID. All these people are going back to their homes, and not only are like people being trampled on, but like there's a
And that's just the thing too, because it was an outdoor event, so they were. I think CDC is just when you're indoors, you have to wear a mask, but when you're outdoors, they can get away with not wearing it. So I feel like that's even a bigger risk.
Yeah.
Like someone who might not. I don't know if they regulated COVID vaccines or like having your card like many other events did.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But we'll fact check that though.
Yeah. But like, say if they did or didn't, there's a lot of things that could happen within like. You got your vaccine and you got your test back and it says it's negative, and like maybe the day after you received COVID from someone, like it's so much more of a risk that you're going out in the wild with a bunch of like 50,000 people hurled up like a can of tuna, just all in one place.
I was not thinking you were gonna say can of tuna. That's how off it was. I was like, what is he trying to say?
But like they're all hurled into just one tight space, and no
Yeah.
one's like being able to have breathing room, and everyone's just like shouting, yelling, coughing, talking, and it's like there's bound to be someone who's going to be infected by something.
So like, in your opinion, is it worth going to public events like that?
No, not like how that was regulated. If there are some events that even because I'm overly cautious and very nervous of getting COVID.
Yeah,
even
Kevin gets a COVID test like every 3 days. He's always at ASU.
You're alone. But anyway.
No, it's fine, but he's serious about being cautious.
Yeah, and I've been to like I went to go see John Mulaney I think like 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, and like I was very nervous. I was very glad to see that people were wearing the mask for the most part, and like it was mandatory to have your vaccine card or at least like a negative test, and that made me feel better. But like it's still very scary, like seeing so many people. Like it's so weird to just see a group of people and just be like, ooh, that's terrifying. Other than I have anxiety of seeing a lot of people, but it's just like that's a risk factor now.
Yeah.
Like you could possibly get sick, infect others, and someone could die from that.
Yeah, and like going back to like the Astroworld festival where like there was so many people and there was like no space and people ended up dying like immediately, not from the effects of COVID later, but in the crowd. And there was so many people that were injured, and a lot of people I'm pretty sure are gonna come out of this like with a lot of like trauma. Like imagine seeing people like dying in front of you. That's not something you could just get over. And then going back to the Las Vegas shooting, people were out enjoying the music festival, or the concert, and a lot of them died. And it's just like you hear all these things about like the shooting that happened in the movie theater. So it's just like, I don't know, sometimes like I should probably stay inside. Like it doesn't seem safe, but like that's not how you should live your life, being scared. You know, you should like go out and enjoy everything. But it's just things like you hear about Astroworld and other music events, and it's just like a big issue, and especially when the pandemic is still pretty strong right now. Like
Yeah,
it's going
getting
on.
even worse,
Yeah.
which is the new variant that just got.
Yeah, and new variants are popping up, and that's like super scary. So it's just like, is it worth going to public events? But also it's just like you don't want to be like cooped up like Bubble Boy, like either. You want to live your life, but it's scary to think that going to something like a music concert
Could possibly end your life.
yeah, and that's really scary. And I don't know if that was like something other generations dealt with, but I definitely feel like our generation is really seeing the effects of a lot of things that have happened. And I don't know. I think in the past, I don't think I've seen that many people like dying at concerts or shootings or COVID. Or I think our generation is getting hit with a lot from every side, and it's up to us to decide if it's worth going to an event. Public safety, like COVID, am I going to spread something? Am I going to get something and bring it home to my family? Or like, is someone going to go gun crazy? Is a crowd going to go crazy? Is there enough security? Is there enough regulation? Is there crowd control? And it says like personally, I don't think I would go to an event like this now. Like, I've never been, and I'm probably glad I haven't been to one. But like seeing things like this, and especially thinking of COVID, I don't think I personally would think it'd be worth it to spend hundreds of dollars to maybe get COVID or maybe get trampled on.
No, yeah, it's especially at this time when it's getting a little risky and more. You're putting yourself and not only yourself but others at risk by going to a bigger and public space. It's harder to at least have like a backing for you to go in a positive way. And don't get me wrong, I do think no one should just feel like, okay, we have just to stay in our houses, be isolated, and never see
no one wants that.
I do think going anywhere is a big risk sometimes, even before COVID. Like, if you're on a plane, there is a chance that you could get hit by lightning, or the plane could go just down and you could pass away. Car crash all the time.
Well, that's true. Like every day, like freak accidents and stuff like that, it happens. But, like, you know, when it's your time, I guess it's your time, unless.
I mean, that's a way to think about it.
But like, you can't stop death. Like, death is inevitable. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know. Is it a God out there being like, oh, it's about it, or is it like, you know, whatever anyone believes in, if they're religious or non-religious, like if you die, like you can't come back. So it's like, you know, you go outside and there's a car accident. Goodness. So I don't know, talking about like public safety in the means of there's so many people there, you're definitely coming towards like a bigger risk.
And that's where it just lies between, you have to not only, I think it's important if you're going to go to any concert or you're going to any kind of public spacing where there's going to be a lot of people, that you should know, okay, where am I going to go? How is the area being regulated, and do I feel safe? But I feel a lot of people, whether you're just, like I said, going to a concert, going on a plane and all that, you shouldn't worry that much. You shouldn't have to be, well, it's understandable because I'm worried as well, but like, it shouldn't be on your responsibility.
Oh, okay.
Like, the people who were at that concert for the Houston Festival.
So you're talking about like people who are in charge of capacity and...
There should have been much more mandates, much more of just like security. People who are just regulating that, because clearly there was no control of that. There was a lack of performance in that concert, which cost people's lives.
Yeah, it did.
And that shouldn't have been an issue.
Maybe, I think a good thing, especially because we're in a pandemic, a great thing would, I don't know if you've seen like other countries when they were going back into like concert phases, they had these like little, they're not like cages, but there were these like enclosed spaces for everyone to stay in their position. Like you had to stay in your spot. And there was still like rows to walk in, but it was an outdoor event. And I'm like, that would have been like such a great idea. Like, and I don't know, maybe it's because everyone bought general tickets, so everyone's allowed to go wherever. If that's an issue, but if they would have had maybe at least rows where people could walk through, maybe it wouldn't have been so bad.
I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, like I'll have to like show you a picture and stuff, but it just seems like a good idea that maybe they would have put the barricades and they would have allowed for space to walk through each one, and maybe people can get out and in up. I don't know, something where people were able to exit freely. 'Cause, there was no way anyone was going to get out of that like that, especially if you were towards the front. I can't even imagine what it meant being in the middle.
Yeah.
You're getting pushed from both sides.
It just seems like they were in, no matter what, a tough situation that was inevitable for them to be in. And if you're going to ever go to a concert, I do think just going with a caution eye. Like I stated previously, when I went to go watch John Mulaney live, I was like, okay, I try to put in mind he's a famous comedian, even though he was going through something recently that caused controversy. I know there's most likely going to be a lot of people. I know that I saw that the place mandated masking, had to have a COVID vaccine, which makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
But I also put in account, there's just obviously going to be a few people who are not going to want to wear the mask and take it off. And I did see those kind of people. And I had to just put into account, do I feel comfortable? Do I want to really have this experience? Or can I just watch his new Netflix special or something like that when it comes out?
Yeah, just wait till it's on TV.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, that when I first went and when we're lining up literally blocks just to go to the main event and we're late because so many people were there.
Yeah.
I did feel massively uncomfortable.
But did you have the fear in your head that you were gonna die?
I was more so fearful of getting COVID.
COVID. Yeah, I think that's probably what a lot of people. I don't think anyone goes in I'm gonna buy these tickets and something bad's gonna happen to me at the concert. I don't think that's anyone's.
I will deal with that later. No, yeah, it's just a lack of preparation and a lack of care for your audience members is what I feel is happening.
So it's more the venue. You're trying to say more the venue versus the artists.
Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I do think the artist has to be if John Mulaney's concert just had no regulations, it's 100% on him as well, because he should have put at least more money or at least try to make sure, hey, these people need to be safe. But I do think venues should up their game 100%, just to make sure people feel safe. Make sure that I'm not going to feel like I'm going to get COVID. I'm not going to be out there risking my life because I feel like it's not regulated and people are just going to trample. You need to be accounting for people either being dumb, but also there could be a terrible situation.
Yeah, an emergency. I think it also goes how right now a lot of social media is comparing how other artists have stopped shows immediately when they see someone passed out, and I'm I don't know. A lot of it they've said oh, he didn't know what was going on. And I'm you don't know that. We don't know. Maybe there was stuff going on. There's it's bright, it's loud, and he's singing. He's maybe in his zone. That's not an excuse, but I feel if you feel there's something going on, it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to stop and get some help to that area. And I feel maybe those people still passed away. He was, I don't know, but maybe it could have helped. But I guess we won't know because he didn't take those actions. It took 37 minutes for him to stop the show, and maybe those 37 minutes, those people could have been alive, and I guess we won't know.
Especially when he stopped the show and continued. I feel if you have to stop your concert because you know something bad happening,
and then you start again,
you should not depend on your audience. You should depend on getting security at that place of where to
let you know.
Yeah, if you hear murmurs at this side of the crowd and you have to stop because that side's feeling anxious or maybe the middle, then you don't be let's give it a minute. All right, let's see if everyone's good. You get security or you get someone who's official to figure that out, even medics.
And let one of them tell you it's okay.
And then if they tell you, no, you got to stop the show, a lot of people are dying, then you
it was so hard for them to get in the crowd too, the EMTs and everyone, they were struggling to get in. And there's all these accounts of every time they went in to go help one, because you have to take care of the one person you go in. And every time they were going to that person, some other person needed help. And okay, I'll be back to you. Let me take care of them. And then it was it was a lot going on. And there wasn't a lot of people there to help. They needed more hands on deck, and they didn't have them. And so I'm just thinking back to how there was the fire code allowed for 200,000 people, and there was 50,000. I'm that's crazy to me. I can't even wrap my head around seeing 50,000 people and all of that going on at that time. And I think this also goes to show that I don't know, I think it could have been a little bit preemptive if he would have stopped it sooner, but I'm not saying it's his fault these people died. He wasn't in control of the crowd, but at the same time, as an artist, why wouldn't you want your fans to be safe? Like, why wouldn't you want to stop the show and be like, hey, and if people are there to see you and they bought the tickets and such, I don't think they're going to go anywhere and get mad that you stopped the show for like 5-10 minutes to figure it out, like to fix what was going on. Because if they're mad, then leave. You already bought your ticket. Like, I don't know what you're mad for.
Did it cut the footage? Oh.
Okay, we'll do a quick wrap up and then you do it in there. Okay.
No.
So just going back into there, I think the artists and the venue both had a lot to do with it. But I guess we'll see what this has for future generations and how people go to concerts or music events and how this will, I guess, in 10, 20 years from now, see how it leads into something else, because I don't think past generations have dealt with this type of thing. So I do see, I hope, regulations and new codes and policies put in place to keep crowds safe and hold people accountable.
And what do you guys think? Do you guys feel comfortable going into concerts now or any kind of public events? Or do you feel like you should be more cautious and maybe might be missing some more events due to what's happening in life and what events are not taken seriously? Just if you do decide to go, be cautious, be smart, think about your surroundings, and if you don't feel comfortable, it's probably best to either move to a different area or don't go at all.
I think the one takeaway from this is trust your gut. Your gut's always right. And register to vote and comment in the comments what you think and let us know. And you'll catch us next week with a new episode at TWVocalize.
Have a good one, guys.